And wide receivers, specifically this year's class, is loaded. T. Higgins is set to become a free agent, but the Bengals could franchise tag Higgins if they want to keep him from hitting the open market. The group also includes the Bucs' all-time leading receiver in Mike Evans and Calvin Ridley, who had over 1,000 receiving yards in his first season with the Jaguars. So time for some quick reads. Where would you guys like to see some of these receivers land? Let's have a little fun here. Acho, what makes sense for T. Higgins?
It makes sense for T. Higgins to stay in Cincinnati. Why? You pair him with a healthy Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. All of a sudden, a guy who had back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons a few years back all of a sudden gets to be with his quarterback and maybe knock off the defending Super Bowl champions. Huge Super Bowl window for the Cincinnati Bengals. T. Higgins needs to be a part of it.
All right, Mike, give me a team for Michael Pittman.
The New York Jets. He's young, he's big, he's athletic, had 4 touchdowns. He's a perfect complement to Garrett Wilson. This is obviously subject to Aaron Rodgers, the general manager's approval. Obviously, I'm just sort of half joking, but last year, you know, Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb didn't work out. They need Aaron Rodgers to play quarterback, not be GM. So Michael Pittman would really help this offense. I hope they could be a little bit more expansive in who they look at.
I feel like Rodgers would welcome him with open arms. Tim, where could Mike Evans go?
Well, General Manager Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City might like Mike Evans. Look, he's a huge target. He still catches touchdowns. I get that he's on the wrong side of 30, but his production is still really good. And look at how much receiver kind of was the thorn for Kansas City for much of the season. So I think that's certainly an option. But I also want to rule out a team like Houston that has cap space and certainly wouldn't mind surrounding their talented young quarterback with a superstar wide receiver.
Yeah, especially while he's on that rookie deal. A good time to spend money elsewhere. Get into what the teams in the AFC West need to do this offseason to compete with Mahomes and company. We're going to go with the Raiders first. We're just talking about them. They enter this offseason with more than $35 million in cap space and the 13th overall pick in the draft. Adam Schefter reported last week that the Raiders are expected to cut Jimmy Garoppolo when the new league year begins next month, which would leave Aiden O'Connell and Brian Hoyer as the only quarterbacks on their roster. Acho, what do you think is the top priority for the Raiders?
Well, it's got to be to address the quarterback position, and maybe it's through the draft or maybe it's through a trade situation. Now, let's not discount what Aiden O'Connell did. Last 4 games, 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, rallied his team around him. But there are some potential superstars in this year's draft. Obviously, some of these guys may go early, but then some of the guys later, guys like J.J. McCarthy, who was a Michigan national champion, he could be a potential guy to take that role. And so whether it's through the draft, maybe it's through free agency, maybe it's one of the quarterbacks we've been talking about for other fits, the Raiders have to address that position because we know defensively they're going to be good, but quarterback is what you have to have if you want to try and beat Patrick Mahomes.
From one Michigan man to another, Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers have work to do, as they're currently $47.5 million over the projected salary cap. After going 5-12 last season, LA has the 5th overall pick in the draft. Running back Austin Eckler, who leads the NFL in scrimmage touchdowns over the last 3 seasons, is set to become a free agent. Tim, what do you think should be the Chargers' priority?
Well, I think running back should be a priority. You're talking about Austin Eckler. He's been a really productive player there. Look, Saquon Barkley may be available. Obviously, we saw the cap space or lack of cap space number that they would have to kind of deal with in order to get something done with Saquon. But look, they have the quarterback. You know, Acho was just talking about, hey, get the quarterback because that's the division. They have the quarterback. I think they need to get him some help. I think they need to change their identity. And for all, you know, everyone wants to say about Harbaugh and a former quarterback, look at what he's done as a head coach. He's been a guy that has pounded the football. It's certainly been a mark of every single team that he has ever coached. And so I think getting a back like Saquon, who's versatile, certainly would be a nice start in that direction.
Yeah, figure out what you're doing on the defensive side, too. They've paid a lot of those guys a lot of money, haven't panned out.